I do think that when we speak to Meg, I hope she's talking about the possibility, David, this has always been a focus of yours, about the therapeutics. I didn't hear anything today from Lilly or Regeneron in my own reporting that made me feel that, David, that those are on the horizon or that they'll get you out of the hospital quickly.
Well, listen, they did miss on the higher dose, Lilly. They had an effect at the middle dose range, which is good. And that is another data point that does at least support the efficacy of antivirals in this disease, Jim. The manufacturing capacity of these antibodies, by the way, worldwide, I'm told, even if you stopped all other drugs, not enough to supply the need. So you're looking more towards, once again, what I come back to, which is that small molecule antiviral that Merck is working on, that we've got to keep a close eye on.
Right. Well, I do know Regeneron's got highly potent neutralizers. I just think it's September, Carl, and the clock seems to be ticking for a lot of these small businesses. An excellent piece on Squawk this morning about how the small businesses are being hurt so much. But when was the last time we traded a small business? And the answer is we don't, because they're not public.
Yep, the big blind spot that public equities have that we've talked about for a long time. The president last night, Jim, throwing out the 3 to 4 week timeline on at least the introduction of a vaccine. So I guess we have to sort of throw that in the mix, despite what others in the industry and at NIH talk about in terms of being at the end of the year instead.
Well, maybe it's entirely possible that the trials are not in the thick of things in New York because our rate is so low, and what you really need are people in hot spots. There's only one active I've called all the drug companies. The only one active trial that I know I can get in is in the Moderna trial. Almost all the other trials are just not in New York, which makes me feel like that perhaps we in New York, are, after a terrible period, are not experiencing, David, what the rest of the country is in terms of sign-ups. I mean, 30, 40,000 people. You would think that some of the hospitals in New York would be giving you this, like the J&J. Everyone from J&J apparently is going to take the vaccine. But I'm looking at Dave right here. I know I'm supposed to look at the camera, but there are places where so many people have the vaccine or are on trial, but they're sure not in New York.
No, thankfully, of course, we went through our very hard time. Thankfully, as well, other parts of the country, while suffering much higher rates, are not having nearly as high rates of hospitalizations. You've also got a lot of these clusters associated with the reopening of universities and colleges, younger people who are getting it, but at least maybe don't seem to be passing it on to a more susceptible population, Jim.
Yeah, well,
but we got to keep a close eye on it. Now, by the way, you're not giving the vaccine to everybody who's sick. Clearly, you're giving it also to a lot of people who have nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean let's make that clear. You look for people both who actually have been exposed to the virus, but also most of the people you're giving it to haven't been.
Right.
You want to make sure it actually generates a response.
What's interesting is the therapeutics are given both to people who are sick, but also to people who are not sick, who are family members. Now, that almost sounds like a vaccine in itself.
Yep.
But to go, and we're going to hear about this when we talk about FedEx, the complications of getting these drugs to people make me feel like while the president, I think, yes, it's possible there'll be some vaccines, but I don't know if you want to be in the first wave. If you're at risk, remember, you're being given something that is novel, not unlike the illness. So, Carl, I think that while I want everyone to try, it's America's duty to take vaccines so we can get this problem solved. I do think that people who are at risk are not wanted in a lot of these trials, except for the J&J.
Right.
At risk, I'm sorry, age at risk.
Right.
There are other kinds at risk that they do want, but you can't, given my age, get into a lot of these trials.